Seniors live longer in senior living facilities. Hot take. People are asking me every day, what do I notice about this? I got you. Henry Mason, CEO of Precious Hospice. So my take on seniors living in facilities, senior living facilities, whether it be nursing homes, personal care homes, assisted living facilities. Let's break them down individually, but more importantly, we'll get to why I believe, well, I know that our patients particularly live longer in these facilities than other patients that live at home. Same diagnosis, same stage, where they are. Trust me, they live longer in facilities. Here's number one though. Personal care homes, assisted living, and nursing homes. And I want you to think of them when you're talking about finding housing for your loved one. Think of them in this order: personal care home, assisted living, nursing home. So when we think about it in this level, or this actual like level 1, 2, and 3, what you get is the level of acuity that's needed to particularly be able to stay in these facilities. And for assisted living, we'll add in dementia, memory care, though that's along the lines of assisted living for the most part. Personal care home, number one. Let's talk about in the South what this looks like versus other places. When we say personal care home, I don't want you to think of just a house, right? I think the word home is a marketing tactic, in my opinion. I think that theoretically they should both be able to be called assisted livings, but I think, just my opinion, I don't know. I would argue that at some point that they could all be called assisted livings, and assisted livings probably in their minds decided that from a marketing standpoint, we didn't want to be grouped with smaller facilities or places because that took away from their market share. So technically they could be assisted living, but here's the biggest difference: level of acuity, right? So how much help do you actually need to function? For a personal care home, you want to be able to go in, get out of the bed as tolerated, walk around, or at least stand and pivot. You can be in a wheelchair, but you need to be able to function. Now, in terms of cost, this is going to be on your lower end of the spectrum majority of the time. In comparison, now, keep in mind, this is in comparison to the assisted living, memory care, or even out-of-pocket nursing home. We'll get to that, because that's a thing too. In the same area, take nursing home as a government price point, but for pricing for personal care home and assisted living, this is where you're going to be in the same area, the cheapest place. You're going to get the least amount of total care in a personal care home. So this is almost one step beyond independent living. So independent living would be your own cottage or a senior like housing area where you've got houses and cottages and apartment complexes just for seniors. They usually are about 55 and up, sometimes 65 and up. But independent is just that. It's basically your own apartment. You got your own kitchen or kitchenette. You got your things that you can function as if you can do everything for yourself. Now, it doesn't mean you can't bring services to help you in these places, but generally speaking, you can do everything for yourself in independent living. So that's going to be your cheapest one. The next step up from independent living. So independent, you like it says, independent, you can do for yourself pretty much everything. Cook for yourself, clean for yourself, help yourself take your own meds. A lot of times you're still driving back and forth to doctor's offices or whatever you need to do. The next step above that is personal care homes. Now, I'm only going to speak to specifically the South. Conceptually, these are the same, but let's speak to the South and the state and the rules here. Personal care home is a step above independent in terms of acuity or the amount of help that you need. But it's still not, it's light years away, in my opinion, from memory care and assisted living. But let's stick to personal care home. Normally, this is going to be a place with 24 beds or less. That person is normally slightly below independent, meaning that they need more help. They may need help with just making sure that they get their meals every day, or they may want some extra eyes on them. And this is a cheaper option than bringing a home care into your home and having someone in your home with you 24/7. Because in today's time, that's running for $25-$30 an hour. So you're talking what, $22,000 or for 24 hours, right? I mean, for a month, if it's around the clock care. So this is a cheaper option, personal care home. I've seen them go from, in the South, anywhere from $2,400 to $3,600. $4,000 if it's a nicer place, $5,000, But these are normally places that you can go to and live in where you just need a little bit of help. You still want someone to help you with your meals. So 3 meals and 2 snacks in a day, things like that. The next one above that is the assisted living. Now, I'm going to put assisted living and memory care pretty much on the same tier. Now, there are some places that have what you call age in place or age in place communities where you can go from one to the last, but normally they're different. So this one is assisted living and memory care, same tier. So just take what they are. Assisted living means I need a little bit more help than a personal care home. So mom and dad, they get out of bed as tolerated, need a little bit more help, need help with medications. So medication, what we would call medication management, would be done in assisted living. Also, if you need help getting around or you can't make your own foods anymore, this is where you would go to this type of place. And this is a place you would go to where you need more help than a personal care home, but not as much help as a nursing home. So nursing home is last. But let's move from assisted living to memory care. Very similar. The difference with memory care, number one, they're going to have multiple locked doors. So one locked door for a set of people in a memory care unit, if it's within assisted living, or even if it's a standalone, they're going to have one section of locked doors, then another set of locked doors for the outer doors. Where in assisted living, even though it's assisted sometimes, they still can kind of function and go in and out as they please. They can go in the building, out the building. They just need help. It doesn't mean that they can't function at all. They just need a little bit more help. So in assisted living, a lot of time you'll have access to home health companies. You'll have access to home care companies. You'll have access to hospice companies, palliative care companies, all different things that we talked about in other videos that would allow you to better maneuver and live your life at that stage. The memory care units are specifically for people with dementia. So these are people who are suffering, remembering things, remembering where they are, suffering from understanding the difference between the day and the night. This needs to be a very specific place. Now, an assisted living, I've seen them range, right, from $3,000 to $20,000 a month. It really depends on what you can afford. And back in the day, we used to be able to find places for $1,800. And when I say back in the day, I literally mean about 5 years ago. We were placing people in facilities for $1,800 to $2,500. That same facility today, probably $4,500. Yeah, $4,000, $4,500. And most importantly, the care is the same, but what's rising or bringing the cost up is the cost of labor has gone up. So CNAs and RNs cost more. The cost of food is going up. So we have to, of course, make sure people can eat, and providing 3 meals and 2 snacks is more expensive now than it was 4 years ago. We talk about that all the time. People going to the grocery stores. You used to be able to spend $200. Now that's a $450 bill. I got a 2-year-old. Trust me, it can get expensive. So that's the assisted living memory care portion. I always suggest that if you are a dementia patient, you go to a memory care space. And that's very important that you do that, because you want them to be around people that are similar to them. And so they feel like they're connected to whatever sense of life that they have at that time. That's very important when we're talking about why you live longer in a facility. But the last one we're going to talk about is a nursing home. Nursing home is broken down into 2 specific things. One is a nursing rehab, which is in the same facility. They have a rehab center. The other one is a nursing home where you go and live. Now, rehab normally is a 20-day stint paid for by Medicare or, whatever insurance you have. Sometimes it's longer, but normally it's very expensive for the insurance companies. They want you in and out in 20 days. But what can happen though, if you have Medicare or Medicaid, most times those are the only 2 that they'll take, you can be moved from the rehab portion of the nursing home to the live-in portion of the nursing home. Now, the person living in a nursing home needs more help than the person who lives in the assisted living. This person can actually be bedbound. They can actually expire there. They don't have to do anything on their own at all. They have enough help there. They have 24/7 RNs around the clock, 24/7 CNAs. They have med techs all over the place. So they're helping you go through and function in a level that's a high acuity that you can't go to other places. Now, cost of nursing home out of pocket, and this is where it gets tricky. It can be $300 to $400 a day. Yeah, so $9,000 to $12,000 a month is what you may end up paying out of pocket for these, unless you have Medicare or Medicaid and they're willing to pay for them. So those are the different levels. Now, let's get to why I believe you live longer in a facility. All of our patients, not all of them, I don't like to speak in as an all or never, but a lot of them, I'm gonna argue 85+% of our patients who go to facilities live longer than those at home. These are the reasons. Regular monitoring. When you're in a facility, there's someone monitoring you 24/7. If you fall, if you are wheezing, if you are coughing loudly, if you are choking while you eat, you are being monitored by someone who is clinically skilled to help you in those situations. If you got mama at home, you probably can't do that. Not saying you're a bad son or daughter, but you probably can't do that. So you want to be thinking about that in terms of long term. Also, early intervention, right? If something is going on, you're not clinically sound, you don't know what you're looking at. So you might have someone at home and you don't know what dementia is. And so something as small as, oh, I can't find my keys today. Monday, Tuesday, can't find my keys. Wednesday, I can't find my keys. 2-3 months go by. I don't remember your name, son. Right? You don't know what you're looking at. So in a facility, they have early intervention because normally there's a nurse or a doctor that also does rounds there. So given what's going on, that clinician or even a CNA can express to that doctor that's doing their rounds, this is what's going on with patient A. Can you give me maybe a diagnosis, or can we test on them and kind of figure out? And they can update the family on what's going on. Number 2, that's super important, is nutritious meals. If you are eating nutritious meals, getting your fruits, your veggies, your proteins, your carbohydrates, you're going to get more vitamins. Like, again, I'm not a doctor. I'm only bringing you practical information, but think about this. You're taking care of mom and dad. Are you really going to feed them chicken, string beans, and mashed potatoes twice a day for breakfast? You're going to give them a nice plate of eggs and some oatmeal and maybe some grits, some bacon, a full of a fruit bowl. You're probably not going to do that. You got a job, you got kids, you've got other things you want to do. You want to go to the movies with your girlfriend. And there's nothing wrong with that. But giving your loved one, put them in a space where they can get this extra attention, these meals, is fantastic. It also helps with them take their medication, because a lot of times what we see with a lot of these patients, hospice patients or not, when you're at home, you're giving them medications that they need to be taken with food, and you're not giving them enough food. So you're having other symptoms from things that these facilities are watching and can help them with that you don't understand. The most important thing of all time, I got you, social engagement. We take for granted how important it is that seniors be social and engage with other seniors. You think that grandma who grew up on a certain type of music, a certain type of movie, wants to sit and talk to you forever about things that y'all can't really relate on. They don't. They'd rather be, in most cases, they may not even tell you this, they don't hurt your feelings, but I'm gonna tell you the truth because they tell us the truth. They'd rather be in places where they can talk to people about things that they care about. It doesn't mean that they don't want to be around family. They're not saying that. And I see a lot of videos talking about, well, in other countries, we don't do that. In other countries, we do it like this. Or in Africa, in the continent of Africa, we take care of our own people. Yeah, but y'all don't have to deal with having to buy a home, right? Buy food, care for your kids. A lot of these other places are living off of one income. It's very difficult right now in America to buy a house, provide for the house, provide for the kids, and everything you need on one income. Now, there's some people that can, I'm not saying, but for the majority of you all, you can't do that. So my suggestion normally is always going to be, if you have, not always, in most cases, it's going to be, you got mom, you got dad, you got 4 kids. Let's say you got 4 kids. Price is $4,000 a month. You all pay $1,000 a month to go to a facility. Or you break it up based on, ratios on how much one person makes versus the other one. But that's super important. The next one, emotional and mental health support. When they're going through different diagnoses, they're experiencing things that you don't understand. So unless you're a therapist, you can't help them. Hospice, in facilities, they have their own social workers a lot of time. People who can sit and talk to them and help guide them and direct them and get them on paths and get them away from being depressed, because it can be depressing for a lot of people to get older. It really can be. So we have things in place to help that with that. Another one, emergency response. Mental facilities are booked at certain ratios, sometimes 1-8 patients in some memory cares. I think 1-14 or 1-15 in facilities that's during the day is probably 1-20, 125 at night. But more importantly, there are people there to check on you around the clock. So if you fall, let me give you a perfect example. A family member of mine, it's hard to tell your own family stuff. A family member of mine was in a home. I've been telling them for 3 years, you got to get in a facility, because what I'm seeing from you are things that you can't live by yourself. No, Henry, I can live by myself. I got it. I do this. I've been taking care of myself for 85 years. I'm like, all right, bro, go. Do your thing. Bro goes on, lives by himself. He falls. This is on a Sunday. No one could reach him till Monday evening. So from Sunday to Monday evening, he sat on the floor. That won't happen in the facility, because someone's checking on you when they do their rounds. This is very important, because that person could have starved to death. They could have hit their head. They could have had blunt force trauma. These are all things that we have to make sure that we're on top of, and being in a facility helps you with that. The next thing, medication management. Facilities have med techs, trained clinicians. At the very least, they have CNAs, but they have trained med techs or trained clinicians who know how and when to give you medicine. They're not prescribing you medicine, but they got the medications here. They understand if it's PRN, which is as needed, or you have a frequency, they can give you that. And because they're jotting down all of your medications and when they should be taken, we're making sure grandma are at least on their regimen. You are not going to be able to do a good job of that at home by yourself. I'm trying to tell y'all. But y'all don't want to hear me. They don't want to hear me. The next thing, facilities have routines. Routines, in my opinion, keep you alive. That's why my granddad, he's 98. Shout out to my granddad, Reverend L.K. Curry. He always says, keep working, son. Keep your mind working. Keep your body moving. Continue to think and engage, and that will help you live longer. I believe that. I stand true to that. And one of the things that I believe helped him live to 98 is a structured routine. He has the same routine he's had his entire life. When you go to a facility, they have a routine. You eat breakfast at a certain time. Eat lunch at a certain time. You have activities at a certain time every single day. 7 days a week, you're going to have an activity, right? You're not going to do that at home. You might let them sit there and cross their legs comfortably, sit there and watch TV all day. That's not engagement. There's no interaction there. They've got to engage with someone else. They've got to know that this routine is going to help them live longer, and it gives them something to look forward to. You're not doing that at home. The last but not least, community engagement, community resources. Facilities have resources within the community to help you get things done without you having to leave the community. Number one, we talked about it earlier, bringing a doctor into the facility to do those rounds. That's super important, because now you got somebody in the facility with you that's doing a round. So you're not tasked with the pain and discomfort of having to get in your car and drive to doctor's offices. That's super important. It also takes the idea that the person is taking, if you're at home, you got to get the person up, get them dressed, get them breakfast, put them in the car, take them out the car, take them to the doctor's office, listen to all this, sit them in the waiting room, take them to the back so they can get seen, bring them back out, pay your little copay, put them back in the car, take them back out the car, walk them back up to their room, get them back in their pajamas just so they can be. That is too much. It's too much. Forgive me for shaking the table, but it's too much. It's too much. So this is where, when I tell you people live longer in the facilities, these are the reasons. Share this. I don't want you to be afraid of moving into a facility. You are not giving up on your parents by moving them into a facility. You are doing them a disservice by not doing it. I'm Henry Mason, CEO of Precious Hospice, and these are the things that I see. I love y'all again. Life is precious.